going? Which store? How are you, sir? How are you, sir? Good, how are you? I'm okay. Where's the truck?
Morgan Cummings Jurassic?
How do you spell it?
Which one?
All of the above.
Morgan, M-O-R-G-A-N, Cummings, C-U-M-M-I-N-G-S, Jurassic, J-A-R-O-S-E-K.
Thank you. So can you talk about where we are and what was going on before this crash?
We're on Fry and Village something or other in Katy, Texas.
And where were you?
We were in the right lane heading towards I-10. The silver car came from behind us, was driving erratically, weaving in and out of traffic, going between 60 and 70 miles an hour. They sped around us, almost clipped my vehicle with my 3 children. The SUV was coming out of either this parking lot or the McDonald's parking lot and was in the process of making a left turn to go the opposite direction on Fry, and the silver car T-boned them, was kind of straddling the left lane and the center turn lane, and then one of the vehicles spun and hit a blue vehicle. Everybody involved was teenager. 3 boys got out of the silver vehicle. I made them sit down. I stopped, helped to direct traffic so that the officers could get here safely, and people weren't in the way holding up traffic. I went and checked on the SUV that's parked there. There's a mom, dad, 3 young children. They were all fine, shaken but fine. I did not go to the other 2 vehicles that were impacted. The 3 teenage boys in the silver vehicle asked me to get their phone out of the car. When I opened the door, I was hit with the smell of recently burned marijuana. They were driving recklessly, more than likely under the influence, and just reckless and stupid.
So, I mean, you and I were talking like 10, 15 minutes ago, and you were telling me that this could have been you.
It could have, yes. They were probably a foot from clipping my rear end and sending us into a spiral. Had my spouse not been a good driver and a reactive driver, it could have very well been us.
And, you know, you have 3 young children in the car. How old are your children?
8, 5, and 2.
And how are they doing?
They're shaken, but, well, they're scared because they've never seen anything like this, and, my kids, they care about others, and they're upset that, somebody was seriously injured and that somebody was doing something that caused somebody else to be seriously injured.
And, it seems like just such a tragic scene.
It could have been prevented had somebody been following the laws, which are in place for a reason. There was no excuse for this. It was reckless and stupid, and there was no point to it.
And so the 3 kids that got out of the car, were they injured at all?
One of them had some minor lacerations to his arms. Other than that, I could see no real injuries.
Okay. Can I have your name once again?
Morgan Cummings Jurassic.
Thanks, Morgan.
I was in the passenger seat of this vehicle while my spouse was driving. We were in the right lane. The silver vehicle was speeding and driving erratically behind us, came whipping around us, was maybe a foot from clipping our rear end. The SUV that is crunched over there was pulling out of either this parking lot or the McDonald's parking lot, had almost completed their left turn when the silver vehicle, which was straddling the line between the left lane and the center turn lane, T-boned the SUV. I'm not sure which vehicle collided in with the blue one. 3 teenage boys proceeded to exit the silver car. I had them sit down. One of the boys had some minor lacerations to his arms. The other 2 didn't seem to be injured. One of them asked me to get his phone out of the car. I went to the vehicle, opened it, and was hit with the smell of recently burned marijuana.
What was going through your mind when you saw this?
Something I can't say on TV. Dumbasses.
So what all was hurt?
As far as I know, the only major injury was the young man in the SUV who was trying to complete the turn. And then the minor scrapes to one of the young men in the silver car.
So you understand the driver of the SUV didn't survive?
That is my understanding, yes.
Did you try to aid any of the victims or anything?
I've made the 3 boys from the silver SUV sit down. I checked on the family that had the SUV that was parked in the middle of the street. I did not go to any of the other vehicles that were involved in the accident because they were surrounded by a multitude of people, and I didn't want to add to that.
So you saw a crowd of people run up there to help them. And Was the driver of the SUV by himself, or is there any passengers?
I don't know. I didn't go over there. From what I know, he was alone.
Okay, and would you explain?
My name is Sergeant Daniel Cooper with the Harris County Sheriff's Office Vehicular Crimes Division. We're out in the 1800 block of North Fry Road in West Harris County on a 3-vehicle fatal collision. From the information that we have learned so far, we have a vehicle that was exiting a private driveway from the McDonald's parking lot, attempting to turn northbound onto Fry Road when he was struck by a vehicle heading southbound. Witnesses report that that vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed. The vehicle that was exiting the McDonald's parking lot then, due to the impact, traveled across all 3 lanes and then entered into the northbound traffic, where he was struck also again by a third vehicle that was involved. The male in the vehicle that was exiting the McDonald's parking lot was found with no signs of life on scene. The vehicle that struck the striking vehicle, all the passengers and the driver were transported by EMS to Memorial Hermann and Katy, where an ongoing investigation is proceeding for signs of impairment and things of that nature.
No injuries on the third vehicle?
No, there were no injuries on the driver of the third vehicle.
How many occupants were in the striking vehicle?
3 from my understanding.
And
All very young. I believe the driver was 17, 18 years old, and the passengers, I believe, were 17, 16, around all of the similar age.
looks like we have 2 separate significant impacts on the deceased driver's vehicle. Is that accurate?
That is correct. It was struck once broadside on its left side, and then as it spun, it was struck in the back end on the left side again by that third vehicle.
Witnesses were describing the speed of the southbound vehicle as in the neighborhood of 65 or 75 miles an hour. Is that consistent with what you guys are finding so far?
Reconstruction is still being done. From my personal experience, I would say this is a very high-speed impact and a high-speed crash. So that would be consistent in my own experience. But again, reconstruction will determine the more accurate speed.
And the driver of the preliminary striking vehicle, the southbound vehicle, if you guys have you determined that they're at fault, or have you determined any of that yet?
As far as the fault of the crash, preliminary, it's going to be on the vehicle exiting the McDonald's parking lot for failing to yield right of way on a private drive. However, if indicators such as speed and headlights may also be an issue, if all of that is consistent, then the striking vehicle would then be more at fault.
And impairment is still ongoing?
Impairment is still ongoing, yes.
And if this driver is found to be impaired as well, what kind of charges are we looking at potentially?
There are possible intoxication manslaughter charges.
Okay.
There is multiple witnesses that stayed on scene. One actually witnessed and stopped short of the crash area. So we had multiple witnesses. We did get video from the McDonald's as well. So that will also help once we actually are able to analyze that footage.
And the deceased is a lone occupant of the vehicle?
That is my understanding, yes.
Is it an adult male?
Adult male, I do not have any more information. He was covered up when we got here.
It was described to both of us that the young gentlemen that were in the southbound vehicle reeked of marijuana, and the vehicle had reeked of marijuana smoke. Do you have any information on that, or do you have any?
That's still ongoing. I have not personally been told that, so I don't know. I can't comment to that.
Okay.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks, Sarge.
All right, not a problem. Thank you, guys.